Just kind of check in on catching, and we've been meeting with clubs about him, and we're kind of going through the process of scheduling things with him and them, meetings and stuff, so it's going fine.
Do you have a sense of how many number of teams at this moment are interested in him?
Well, there's, the clubs that need catching are pretty well defined, and so, and some are thinking about moving players to make room for them, so the timetable always on catching, I don't know what it is. It's always been, I can't think of one I've represented that didn't sign in January, but they do,
Do you see any sense? Go ahead. I was just going to say, is there a sense he's played his last game with the Orioles?
Oh, no. I mean, look, he threw out over 35% of his runners when Matt Wieters is behind the plate. The Orioles are in the playoffs. He's, won Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers there. And this ERA, the pitching staff is one lower than when other catchers catch. So I think Baltimore has a real commodity there. He's performed at high levels there.
Would he like to return to Baltimore? Is he thinking about that at all?
Well, I mean, Matt's always enjoyed playing in Baltimore, so it's certainly a possibility, yeah.
Going with the Baltimore thing, Pedro Alvarez, any information on him right now, on Pedro?
Again, I've talked to a number of teams about him, and obviously he's, Pedro's actually going to start playing the outfield as well, and he's, obviously working on first base, and we're going to try to get his defensive acumen more in the field as his career goes forward, and obviously anybody who needs a left-handed power is going to be interested in Pedro.
What can you tell us about Bryce Harper and talks with the Nationals? Obviously, you've read plenty of reports. What's the latest, and what can you tell us?
Been reading a lot. I had not had any discussions with the Nationals on Bryce, other than we're going to get around to talking about his arbitration value contract, for the upcoming year. But other than that, we haven't had any talks.
So where does that $400 million number come from?
I don't know. I think when you're a statured player in the game, people talk about the future until their contracts are completed. And I think in Bryce's case, it's no different. But, there hasn't been any discussion for that.
Ultimately, does Bryce want to stay in D.C.? Is he happy in D.C.? I mean, what's the future hold?
I think, anybody that's playing for the Nationals, you're in the playoffs, you have a chance to win. It's, it's a good place to play baseball. He enjoys Washington, D.C., sure.
What percentage, I guess, if you had to say, would you put the chances that there are talks of an extension at some point this winter?
Well, those things are, I don't write the checks, so you have to ask them that. I don't know what that would be.
Once the season was over and you guys were kind of evaluating Bryce's season, what stood out to you? Is there anything that you particularly attributed the drop-off that he had this year?
Well, when you're an MVP at a young age, you see a lot of players' careers where, it's really, we're evaluating something that might have been a 3 or 4 month period, because he got off to a great start, finished pretty strong. And so you're looking at something that in a 2-year span, and then we also had the situation where Major League Baseball really took a different approach by walking him so much. And I think the adjustments you have to make to your at-bats, your patience, the expectancy of being an MVP the prior year and doing what you want to do, there's always adjustments you have to make, and certainly that's something that Bryce operated in and dealt with, and then I think he's moved forward from it.